Everybody, good morning. Good morning. It is Sunday morning, September the 22nd. Rise and shine. This is Coffee Talk. We get together 7 days a week ish, check in, see what's doing in the world of weather. Obviously, there's a lot to talk about in the tropics, and we will get to that, and we'll spend most of our time on that. But I do want to make sure that we also get our local forecast handled. So, let's chat about that. And also, if you've got friends or family that are looking for information on tropical stuff, feel free to share this with them. They can join us live and we'll have that chat. Anyway, this morning, look how pretty it is outside. Orlando International Airport, blue sky. Man, what a pretty day. There are some clouds down here in the tourist district as we peek out on our tower cam network there. Let me take you over to Port Canaveral. Yeah, it's looking beautiful though. Wonder came in opposite normal. Interesting. I wonder what makes that happen. Anyway, a couple of clouds over top. Otherwise, it's gorgeous there. And Ocala, let's check in, see how you're doing there. Oh, man, it's like a nearly clear sky. I love that. I love that. It is a beautiful morning across Central Florida. Some areas with clouds, but basically all of us waking up to a perfect start. It's a Sunday, the second half of our weekend. First warning live Doppler radar showing some of these little showers coming on in. This is what we had expected. I was chatting about this yesterday on West 2 News Sunrise, and we can very clearly see some of those rains coming in around Daytona Beach, New Smyrna Beach. As a matter of fact, let's go out live. There's Daytona Beach. You can see those rains coming on in, right? Yep, there's that. So it just kind of depends on where you are. Nothing too intense. Matter of fact, if I put on the lightning counter here, there's no lightning strikes. So yeah, which is fine. I don't encourage that sort of thing. But there's some heavier stuff coming in around Ormond Beach. Further to the south, there's Ponce Inlet area. Nice heavy rains coming in all the way down to about Turnbull Bay Road. So certainly if you're impacted by this, you're already aware. It's all moving inland. There you go. Debbie says, felt the drops of sky water. Have you always called it sky water? I feel like that's an awkward way to put it. Is that just me? Sky water? Anyway, sky water. Hey, y'all. Yesterday, I went bonkers on TV because of this. We have upper 60s. I'm not saying it's like crazy, but we have upper 60s and frankly, lower 70s in the metro. I took Stella out this morning and it felt nice. It didn't feel. Look, Coffee Talk is still inside. You could tell when it's like chef's kiss because I'll do. I feel like every year I do Coffee Talk outside for the first couple of days of upper 60s in the metro. We're not there yet. Although 73 was comfortable, but 68 in Ocala, y'all, that feels great. 72 in DeLand. Ah, man. We're almost there. We're all we're almost there to fall, as in like just a few minutes away. 8:44 this morning. Fall. Fall, y'all. So, just be ready. We're not going to take Coffee Talk the entire way, but it's right around the corner. Just a couple of minutes away from fall. And I don't know about you, but like this house is about to vomit fall everywhere. We're going to go all out, putting all the decorations out. All right, temperatures across town today. Let's take a look at our Sunday forecast. We're warming. Don't think that just because fall drops, all of a sudden the summer heat changes now. We're still up to 90. Average high temperature this time of year is about 89 degrees. So we'll be in the ballpark. But look at that. Only a couple of sprinkles like yesterday. A 20% coverage of passing showers. That's not too bad. Let's dial up the old Futurecast, get an idea of where we're at. There are those coastal showers continuing the next couple of hours, drying out a bit into the early afternoon, and then could see a few little showers trying to pop on up across the interior tourist district down to the south and west. So, not too bad. It's looking like a really great forecast, right? Agreed? 7 day forecast. Let's chat, see where things are here, okay? This morning, good. Next couple of days looking fantastic. First day of fall. And then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, that's when, oh, all the rain chances change. Why? The tropics. You see, we parlay the local to the not local. Yeah. So rain chances are going up because at the moment we kind of have a sloppy-ish weather pattern ahead. This is certainly subject to change. But right now we're sitting pretty with this kind of drier air mass over top. But into tomorrow, we're going to start watching the wider view. Watch that bottom of the screen. As the computer models are starting to develop a storm system moving into the Gulf of Mexico, and more than likely not only moving into the Gulf of Mexico, but developing into a tropical system. But the thing about it is, until it like consolidates, we're going to get all this kind of like blow off moisture from it. And that's where our rain chances are going to rise. So, again, looking at that 7-day forecast, you'll clearly see those rain chances Thursday, Friday, Saturday going up. Now, let's talk about the tropical thingy. It's not even an invest yet. But if you look kind of toward the bottom of the screen, Central America, that's where we're watching a bubble up. Now, before we even get too deep, let me do this. Give me a second. I'm going to turn some things around from our live radar. I want to pop up the water vapor channel of the satellite. Give it a second. It's going to have to go and buffer the data. Essentially, we've got the trough that was over us. All right, let's just kind of take a broad perspective. Perfect. So the trough that was over us that brought us all that moisture like 2 weeks ago. Yesterday it was over South Florida. Now it's over Cuba and the Yucatan Peninsula. So now that trough is sitting right in here, and it's combining with that CAG, and now we're getting all the ingredients together to develop something tropical down there. And if you're unfamiliar with a CAG low, essentially, as the land heats up over Central America, particularly kind of like late spring and into basically the early part of hurricane season and toward the end of hurricane season. And what ends up happening is you pull in Pacific moisture, you pull in Caribbean moisture, you pull in Gulf moisture, and everything bubbles and bubbles and bubbles. And that's where you combine it with, like, right now we've got this little trough going there, and everything's just feeding this moisture. And you can see there moisture. You can see convection. You can see clouds getting colder and colder and colder, right? So it is now a high chance for tropical development down here. Okay? 10% over the next 48 hours time, 70% over the next 7 days time. Okay? So confidence continues to grow that we're going to see something tropical try to develop here. Okay? Now, let's look at the satellite data for where that is. First off, on this graphic, you can clearly see the X, right? So let's zoom into where that X is located. That way we can see what's bubbling right now. All right. So at the current time, it's not anything significant, but we're already starting to watch convection bubble. So there's kind of your first indications of something happening. So now we're just in the beginnings of this tropical development process. The models are developing it pretty much all in unison and bringing it into the Gulf of Mexico. So still for now, all we're watching is models developing a tropical system. Nothing has formed yet. And the reality is it's too early to tell where anything's going, but the entire Gulf Coast needs to keep eyes on this, okay? I'm going to say this again. It's too early to tell. Why? Because nothing yet has formed. But the sheer fact that computers have been able to see this forming for a week is amazing to me. When I started in my career, it just didn't work that way. So to that, it's kind of fantastic. Now we're at least starting to get into radar range for our FutureCast model. So let's just roll the FutureCast model and watch how in that bottom corner there, this is tomorrow night, you can clearly see it's trying to develop something tropical, trying to develop something, right? Kind of just southwest of Havana, as far out as it goes, but you can see right there, just southwest of Havana, a sloppy area of low pressure trying to get organized. So it's trying to get there. It's trying to develop something. Now, as far as all of the global models go, Here's the data that we've got for you. Okay. All of the global models continue to develop it, bring it into the Gulf of Mexico, and there's a fair, again, nothing's developed, and there's a fairly we've not seen massive shifts on this. Like, it's kind of been like Louisiana to like the Big Bend of Florida. Right now, the models are really liking the panhandle of Florida. These are the global models, but yeah, right now we're just kind of watching and seeing how this goes. Now, some people say don't look at global models when it comes to systems that haven't developed. Look at an ensemble models. I say look at everything. Let's look at everything here, right? So these are the latest global models. I'll share you the raw data. Okay, we'll go model by model to just give you an idea on timing, intensity, etc. So this is the American GFS model. All right, nothing, but watch how late today into tomorrow, there it is. Developing an area of low pressure, passing in the Yucatan Channel between the peninsula and Cuba, and then working ashore. That is Thursday 2 p.m. That is Thursday 8 p.m. That's the American GFS model, okay? And that would be a 959 millibar low with winds in the 100-mile-per-hour range. So there's your GFS model, okay? All right, let's switch over, look at some GFS ensembles. And if you're new, there's well over 1,000 people watching this morning. Certainly all of you guys are not used to hanging out for coffee talk. Hi, good morning, I'm Eric. Basically, when we look at computer models, the GFS is one model. But what you can also do is look at ensemble members. So essentially, the GFS runs, and then the computer reruns itself like 30 different subways. And you get this, the ensembles. And you can see each one of them has like that green dot. That's the area of low pressure. You notice they're in different spots and different intensities. Basically, the ensemble peeks back behind the curtain and just gives us a little more data inside. So what we're looking at here is a pretty good idea. Basically, all of the GFS ensemble members are from about eastern Louisiana to Florida. Yeah. And then notice at the very, very end, there's like more stuff. So that's fun. We'll get to that in October. We'll get to that in October eventually. So that's a GFS. Let's switch over to the European model. All right, here's the European model. Remember, the 6Z, the most recent run, only goes out 90 hours. That's as far out as the 6Z goes. So we can go to the 0Z, the earlier run, almost the identical process, and it went right there into the panhandle. Sea level pressure, it's a little weaker at 988 millibars. Winds of about 73. So basically a borderline tropical storm / category 1 hurricane on the European. Okay. Now, European ensembles. All right. There you go. Development on the European would be, it's a little slower. It's really starting about Monday 8 p.m. and then getting going by about Tuesday 8 p.m. And then look at that. I mean, it's pretty much, yeah, it's Louisiana and Florida in that window there. There's all the different ensemble members for the European. European AI model. Let's switch over. Here's the European AI model. This is the 0Z. It looks like it's more of a big bet. I don't like that one. More of a Big Bend kind of deal. 981 millibar low. Yeah, it'd be like a 981 millibar low. So wind, it's weaker. 50 miles per hour. 52 miles per hour. Yeah, so it would be a tropical storm. There's just, again, all we're looking for here, we're looking at the different things to play out. We're looking for consistency model to model. We're also looking consistency model run to model run. Wait till the AI decides to control the weather. I know. See, that's where we're at, right? And that's Thursday at 18Z, which is 2 p.m. Thursday. Interestingly enough, it seems like the models are dialing into timing pretty well. Canadian model. Panhandle about a 990, so nothing too strong. I like that. Yeah, that's like a tropical storm. Canadian model. Let's look at the Canadian ensembles. Yeah, I mean, I'm seeing a pretty decent. I'm seeing a pretty decent model consensus between the different models. Yeah, Carlos asking, can you explain the Z times for runs again for us slow? You're not slow. Z time, Zulu time, also referred to as UTC, Universal Time Coordinated, also known as Greenwich Mean Time. Basically, pilots use this, meteorologists use this, I'm sure the military uses this. Everywhere in the world, if you use Z time, everybody just knows when Z time is. So, for example, right now is 12:17 Z. 8 a.m. is 12 Z. Okay? UCF night 0223. Are most of the models having the storm pass us by 9:28 for the yeah, yeah. Yes, we need that game. Yep. Yeah, we need that game. So the good news is for right now, the model consensus is there, and most of the models seem to be a bit weaker, right? So when we look at things, and again, I won't stop. I won't stop looking at this and saying, my God, how wild is it that the computer models are really dialing into an answer before we get to a situation where the darn thing is even developed yet? That's wild to me. Call me crazy, but that's where I'm at. All right. Yes, Yukon. So when daylight saving time ends, it goes from a 4 hour to a 5 hour gap. Yeah. Yep. All right. So questions, comments, concerns about this puppy. That's right now we're just kind of watching some cloudiness from it, but nothing more. Yeah. Yeah. AI will take a lot of time to catch up to your experience. I see. I feel, Sean, like AI is probably terrifyingly smart and will get much smarter than I, if it hasn't already, very quickly. Brian's asking, where does this look? Oh, where does this match your recurring cycle forecast? So let me show you the part of the pattern that this fits into. Wrong folder. That's the new graphics. So this is what we called the Gulf to Carolinas low. We highlighted this pattern again on our March 1st forecast, and we highlighted kind of eastern Louisiana to the Big Bend of Florida, and then a potential secondary area into the Carolinas. And we highlighted the dates as September 20th through the 28th. So yeah, I mean this is absolutely part of that pattern. This is going to happen, right? Um, this is going to happen in my dates, in my location. Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it's perfect, but that's absolutely straight out of the 2024 hurricane season forecast, which is available at wesh.com. So yeah, that's that's absolutely part of that pattern. All right. So what is the timeline? Kind of looks like late week. Models are really saying Thursday for now, but again, this is all going to adjust, right? Jason says, let's call Jeremy Nelson and wake him up if he hasn't already texted me. Do you think arriving flights to MC over the weekend should be canceled? Not at all. Not at all. Pamela's asking if it hits, how strong do you think it will be? Listen, if it hits, how strong do you think it will be? I Here's what we know. Impacts are too early to tell in terms of location, in terms of intensity. Um, Impacts are too early to tell. And for any of you that are like, all right, Eric, tell us the real deal. What are you really thinking? I feel like I've been sitting here talking to y'all for the last 19 minutes and 50 seconds, telling you the way I really feel. I just want you to know I'm not going to hide anything from y'all. I just want you to know that. Okay? That's all. I just want you to know that. Michelle's asking, do you think this affects the trip? I hope not. It doesn't. I hope not. Mike says, if it hits, it'll be between a depression and a Cat 6. It also could not develop, right? Man, oh man. I'm in I'm in South Central Alabama. Should we be prepared? Um, Impacts are too early to tell, but the entire Gulf Coast needs to watch. And that's not me being rude. I promise you, I don't intend it to be. It's just when people are asking things like, um, should I be prepared? The answer is always yes to that. Right? Like that's the end of the day. Is it going to hit? If it does hit me, how strong is it going to be? Dude, I don't know. Like you guys are asking about my plans for next weekend, and it's like I've got plans next weekend too, and I don't know how it's going to impact me. Right? Right? Yeah. What about Cancun? It'll be weak and sloppy there. Probably going to be just cloudy, rainy mess. Yeah, that's where we're at. Do you ever feel like you're having to repeat yourself? All the time. But that's okay. That's my lot in life. That's what we chose. I also have two children where all I have to say, if I had a dollar every time I said stop, right? That's all. Ay, 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 ay. Karen says, my husband will be bringing back a U-Haul from Iowa to Florida on Friday. I would say that your husband needs to watch this because depending on routing, what your husband probably doesn't want to do is drive through some sort of a tropical system. So, yeah, let's be watching this. If there's a way, Karen, to have him do that little boot, scoot, and boogie a little earlier, that may not be the worst idea in the world. Should I cancel my trip to Panama City Beach without knowing Base and Buck Billy, without knowing when you're going? I don't know. Also, it's too early to tell who's getting impacted by this. You know? Oh boy. Meredith says, thank you for letting us know ahead of time about what's going to happen. We appreciate it. I'll give you all the news that's fit to print. I'll give you all the information we have. I'll give you all the confidence. I'll give you all the background. There's the models. That's all we got. You know, it's going to continue to shift. It's going to continue to move this way and move that way. That's just what it's going to do. Sandy says, dude, I don't know. Best reply ever. You know? You know? There you go, Janice. See, that's smarter. I should probably do something there too. Oh, man. Where is it possible to go after landfall? Yeah, so, and I mean, this is going to depend on like the different computer models. Like, let me just dial up the GFS. Pressure. So, like, there's landfall. The GFS has it going right to Tennessee. The European has it going to Tennessee. The Euro AI model has it kind of going up toward the Carolinas. The Canadian has it like going up to like Arkansas. The Icon, I don't think we looked at the Icon yet. The Icon has it stronger, like a 946 low, and then kind of brings it. I don't even like that at all. But there you go. So different, it just depends. And that's as far as the Icon goes. So it's just different models are going to have different ideas of where it goes. Still too early. Beverly, suitcases packed? No, no. I just want to know why you plan these storms when I have to drive to Texas and back. I thought we were friends. Brian, I try to give you good things. I try. I try to just be nice to you. At the end of the day, I don't control the weather. And as long as you know that, you know that. Ricardo says, have a cruise on Friday from Tampa. No option. Need to ride the waves. We listen, listen, listen. That's why life is an adventure. Do the adventure, Debbie. Yes, mine leaves on Friday. Yep. Terry says another page is hyping so bad. I'm sure there are other pages hyping it. That's why um that's why I thank you for hanging out here. I'm going to do my best to answer the questions, and that's why I don't mind being on repeat, because I'll just do what I'll do. I'm going to try and give you the information. And by the way, this morning we have almost 2,000 people. So for those of you that are new and hanging out, we're just talking tropics. We do this 7 days a week, almost 365 days a year. And what I don't like is hype. So we can talk, but we're not going to hype here. We'll look at all the raw data. We're just not going to hype here. We may all need to take cover at a Waffle House. At the very least, meet up and get some good old breakfast, you know? Chrissy says, we wish you could control the weather. Yeah, me as well. Julie says, you were hinting at something to watch after this one. You know, the ish. Like the GFS. If you look at the GFS, if you look at the GFS, there's this thing. Bablowy, wherever it goes, it goes. And then like the models after, like of course the GFS doesn't really. Let's was it the Canadian? Yeah. Well, here, let's look at the the ensembles are really what was showing it. So notice here, after this thing moves through, right? There it is. And then after that, look around the Caribbean, like there's other model stuff starting to show stuff. Is that going to happen? Who knows? But, you know, awesome. And I would also add to the fact that in addition to this area in the Caribbean / Gulf, there are a couple of other areas to watch. Nothing that's, you know, immediately concerning or anything, but there's other areas to watch as well. Does one model have better accuracy than another? Not really. I mean, some have their moment in time. But yeah, when we look at, especially with nothing having developed yet, the sheer fact that they all consistently show something and have somewhat consistency in paths is really not lost on me, and shouldn't be lost on you either. Really. Roberto says Eric had a cruise and I was with us. Nothing's set in stone yet. That's why I'm watching this. Other than just like my job with y'all, but like I've got a vested interest in good weather, you know? That's all. As this storm gains strength this week, will we be having coffee talk after dark again? No, God, no. I go to bed. Listen, I turned on a show last night. I don't even think I made it 15 minutes. I've told the bosses at Wesh, like, y'all, I love working for Tony, but it's hard for me to work nights. So, will Uncle Tony do coffee talks when you're? I haven't even asked. I don't know. Maybe. One of the best ways to gauge a storm is if Disney closes or not. I don't suspect that they would be closing based on where we're at. Yeah. Yep. Despite your calming voice and level-headed approach, it still has a lot of angst attached to it. Maybe taking a step back and not looking at these systems 2 weeks out after the cone goes up, Publix turns into Lord of the Flies. You know what? I mean, there's so many different ways to even look at it, right? Like, if I don't look at things weeks out or months out, I'm not doing my job. But I think that there's an appetite for information. And I think as long as we approach it the correct way, then you're doing a service. If people are not, that's where I think there's the struggle. If you picked one, like some of those early runs had a Cat 5 going into Tampa, and it's just like, if you were watching some of those guys, like historic Category 5 into Tampa Bay. Well, heck yeah, you're going to freak out. What? This person saying there's a Cat 5 going into Tampa Bay? Worst storm in 100 years. Could you imagine that, by the way? Like, it could happen. Whether it's this or another thing, it could happen. But, like, if you're sharing one run of one model and throwing out that terror, well, yeah, man, there's angst going to develop. So I'm going to show up with data, and yeah, I'll show that model, but I'm also going to say, like, slow it down, you know? And I think that that's where the world of social media kind of sucks. Boom. Mic dropped. That's where I feel. you know? Ah, I've been waiting 30 years for this comeback. Oh, God. Matthew says the previous run of the GFS showed another storm at the very end coming into Southwest Florida. Newest model had nothing. Well, and to that point, we can look at it with perspective. Right. So notice the current run of the GFS. Current run of the GFS at the very end has nothing. If we go back a run, there's another storm coming into Southwest Florida. We go back 2 runs, there's a storm coming into Southwest Florida. That's October 5th. We go back 3 runs, and there's a storm trying to develop. So, but the current run lost it. Now, what do I take away from this? Simply that we're in hurricane season. Remember, computer models are guidance, not gospel. So they're going to throw these phantoms at us. Maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't. Let's just watch and see and chill the heck out. That's all. That's all. Irish Joe says the only hype we need for hurricane season is to be hyper vigilant. That's true. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate it. John says Tropical Storm Central all the time. Hype. Yes, I threw out the name. It is what it is. Jason says, Bulls alum here. Hey, can we agree it's great watching the Gators stink up the joint? I was waiting for somebody to say college football something. Rita says, hypers make Spicy Erica come out. Yeah, man, because it's like, because what ends up happening is I end up having to clean up the sloppy mess. Like, everybody's freaking out. And it's like, there's nothing to freak out about. This is not even really formed yet. And there are hypers. Category 5, historic category. Shh. So anyway, we'll be tracking the tropics. Okay? Did you did cats, tats. You're right. You're right. My apologies. I read it, but I didn't say it out loud. All right, people. So that's where we're at. All we know for sure is that we're going to be watching the tropics, right? All we know for sure is that in a mere 11 minutes, fall begins. And all we know for sure is that rain chances more than likely will be rising late this week. It's not you. Everyone is doing it. Not everyone is hyping. Don't you do that. Not everyone is. This boy ain't hyping. AccuWeather put a high chance. Don't even start me on AccuWeather. They are. Don't even. Serenity now. Okay. That's where I'm at. Okay. So let's just watch. I'll be posting through the day. No big deal. All right. Be the sunshine in someone else's day, y'all. Thank you for hanging out for Coffee Talk. For those of you that are new, we do this 7 days a week. We do this 7 days a week, even in the quiet season. But during the active season, we'll certainly continue. We'll go deep, in depth. Share this with friends or family if you want. If you don't, I don't. It's fine. I don't get paid for this. So it's not like my job depends on, 18,000 people hanging out for Coffee Talk. Though it's nice to know I'm not just talking in a room by myself. Be good, y'all. See you guys tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock.